So in the last two sessions, fourth and fifth session, we discussed about FSM, Functional Setup Manager, how to enable offerings and options we have seen. We created implementation project and we selected implementation. In the implementation project, we selected offerings and options and how to assign that offering or option or task list to team members and how we can update the status. We have seen all these points in the last two sessions. So in today's session, we'll start with the basic setups. We have seen the system point of view, how to create implementation user, how to create the implementation project. After creating user and implementation project, what is the next step we have to perform in the instance? So to create the transaction in the system, we have to capture the date, on which date we are doing some activity in the business that we have to capture in the system. And we have to write the description of the transaction, exactly what activity you are doing. It could be purchasing something or selling something or any other activity. We have to describe it. Description. When you do any activity, we have to capture the date when we are doing, and we have to describe about that activity, and we have to enter the amount for the activity what we are doing. That could be the purchasing amount or selling amount, something like spending some expense or anything else. It may be paying salaries, etc. So these three elements are very important. Whenever you create the transaction, the system doesn't matter in which application. It could be payables or receivables or cash management, fixed as a GL. Take any application. In any application, if you are going to record any business transaction, we have to capture the date, description, and amount information in the system. If you want to capture the date, description, and amount, what we have to keep ready in the instance? Okay, what information we have to keep ready so that these details can be captured in the instance. We'll talk about those points. If you want to capture the date, the system we have to create calendar, or you can call it as accounting calendar. Simply you can call it as calendar, or you can call it as accounting calendar. If you create accounting calendar in the system, with the help of accounting calendar, you can capture the dates. When you are recording the transaction belongs to which date, and again the date belongs to which month. Those details you can capture with the help of accounting calendar. If you want to create the accounting calendar in the system, what are the points we have to consider? The first point is we are going to do the implementation. This Fusion applications implementation for which country we have to consider. Based on that, here you can decide how you have to create the calendar or accounting calendar. Okay, here we have to consider country. Why we have to consider the country? For the country, please go on mute. If you know the country, okay, if you know the country, for which country you are doing the implementation, we can know in that country what financial year we have in that country. What is the financial year is followed in that country, we can get to know. Based on that, you can create the accounting calendar. That means if you want to create the accounting calendar in our instance, we should know the country financial year. If we talk about financial year for US, starts with Jan, ends with December. If we talk about India financial year, it starts with April, ends in the next year, March. The same way, every country can have a different financial year, and it can have a similar financial years when we compare with other countries. So that financial year we have to understand. As per that financial year, we have to create the accounting calendar in the system. If you are doing the implementation for a US client, you have to create calendar starts with Jan, ends with December. If you are doing the implementation for Indian client, what is the financial year in India? April to March. You have to create the calendar in the instance April to March. So that is the first point. Second point is period type. So when you create an accounting calendar in the system, the periods you are going to create with which type. Day you can call as a period. That means daily period. Week you can call as a period, weekly. Or month you can call as a period, monthly or quarterly, half-yearly, yearly or semi-month. These all you can classify into different period types. But very generally, when you talk about calendar, you can find months only. Okay, by default, when you create the accounting calendar, the system, we create the periods as a monthly periods. Create monthly periods. So within the months, we can have weeks also. When you group the months, that would be quarter, half-yearly, yearly. That's how you can use for your reporting purpose. By default, when you create accounting calendar, the system, we create monthly as a period type. And when you talk about monthly, if you are creating accounting calendar, how many months you can have? 12 months. You take any country finance year, you can have a 12 months. You take India, US or any other country, 12 periods you can have if period type is monthly. We are going to have a months in our accounting calendar, 12 periods. But you can have additional periods also in your accounting calendar. Additional periods. Take example, US financial year. We close the books for US companies in the end of the December. When we are closing the books, if you want to pass some adjustment entries, which you are not able to finalize, which you cannot declare how that information, how the amounts are belongs to which account, etc. How you are supposed to enter, which you are not entered in the system. Such kind of information, if you want to enter in the system, you can enter in the separate period. When you are closing the books in the December, okay, when you are closing the books in the December, I'll give you the time to ask the questions. Okay, I'll give you the time to ask the questions. Just let me explain a few points. Okay? You don't need to raise the hand directly. You can just unmute and you can ask the questions, but just give me some time. Let me complete this topic. Then if you have any questions on the same, we can discuss. Okay. Fine. So when you talk about US financial year, Jan to December, end of the December, we close the books. When we are closing the books, if any entries, if you want to track in the separate period, for that you can have additional period. Those additional periods you can call as adjustment periods to record the adjustment entries. To record the adjustment entries when you are closing the books, to record the adjustment entries, whatever the additional periods we create, those we call as adjustment periods. Adjustment periods. When you are creating accounting calendar for US, if period type is monthly, we have to create the 12 periods only. Additional periods are not required. So we can create the accounting calendar with the 12 periods only. If you want to have additional periods, those we have to create as adjustment periods for the purpose of recording the adjustment entries. Any adjustments you want to do in the end of the year, we can use the adjustment periods. Adjustment periods are not mandatory, not compulsory when you create the accounting calendar. So these are the points we have to understand. If we take example of monthly, you can have 12 periods. If you want to create one adjustment period, 12 plus 1, 13. If you want to create two additional periods, 12 plus 2, 14 periods. So based on monthly 12 periods, how many additional periods you want to create, accordingly you can have a total number of periods. Reality, when you do the implementation, we recommend to client to have at least one adjustment period at the end of the year. If they want to enter the adjustment entries in that period, they can enter, or else in the last period itself, they can enter. They may use, may not use, but we recommend the clients to have one additional periods. In future, if they want to have additional period, it is not possible. At the time of implementation only, we have to decide how many periods they require, including adjustment periods. So that is the reason always we suggest to have one additional periods along with the actual or real periods. So these are the points we have to understand when you create the accounting calendar. The first point is based on the country, you can find out which financial year we have to follow when you create accounting calendar. Second point is which period type. Ideally, that is monthly, and how many additional periods they require. Those we have to create in the accounting calendar as a adjustment periods. This is what we have to understand. Any questions on this point, please? If no questions, we'll go and see in the system how to create accounting calendar.
Hi, Famida here.
Please.
Yep. Actually, I wanted to understand, like, Oracle does not provide any default calendar.
No calendars Oracle provides. We have to create in every fresh instance. Oracle never provide any seeded calendars. No sample calendars or no Oracle provided seeded calendars. So as per which country and as per the client requirement, how many adjustment periods they required, by specifying all those, we have to create. We don't get any calendars.
Okay, so this accounting calendar is different from that normal calendar, like
both are same.
Both are same. Like I have a background of R12, so just wanted to understand, like if I talk about the R12,
also we call as accounting calendar.
Okay, like when we define like LOVs, or when we define the user, we give the end date and start date. So that is also the similar kind of?
That is not from calendar, that is normal dates.
Those are normal dates, right?
Normal dates. Okay, normal dates. In that pages, they give date specification. That is not from your calendar. Okay. We are recording the business transactions, whatever the dates we use, those system will use for your accounting calendar. Okay. Transaction purpose only we use accounting calendar.
So depend on the now we have example only USA Indian example you have saying that financial year only. For example, Australia, UK, Germany, Netherlands depend on the country wise financial year. No?
That's all. That's all. If you are doing the implementation for Germany, what is the financial year they are following? That financial year start with which month, ends with the which month. As it is, we have to create in the system. That's all. Simple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other?
LAXMAN.
Yeah, please.
Just I'm not background of this Oracle. I'm background of electronics. So to revise to me, I need to listen the classes once or twice. The recorded classes are not provided. 4th session and 5th session still.
All the videos are uploaded in the Google YouTube itself as of now. Today after session, I'm going to create the Google Drive. I'll share the drive access to everyone. Instances what you are going to use for your practice also, I'll place those instances information within the drive itself.
Okay, fine. And one more question. As one of my friend was joined.
One second. Those, if you don't mind, we'll see in the end of the session. Any kind of discussions other than this accounting calendar, we'll see in the end of the session, please.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, please. Thanks. Any other questions?
Hi, LAXMAN. Yeah. Yes, a small question. A company having business in different countries. So, I mean, consolidation is happening at India only. So, in that case, do we require to create different calendars for different countries?
Yes, exactly. Say they are doing business in 10 countries. Doesn't matter where they are going to do the consolidation. Consolidation is separate concept. Okay, merging all countries' data for reporting purpose, whatever the activity we do, that we call it consolidation. Forget about that consolidation. In every country, when you are doing the business, if you are going to use the Fusion applications for all the countries' business to record the business transactions, in every country, what is the financial year they are following, accordingly, you have to create the calendars for each country required.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? No questions. Now we'll go and see how to create this accounting calendar in the system. How to create this accounting calendar in the system. So before we proceed with the accounting calendar, in the previous sessions, whatever we did, within 5 minutes, we'll complete the same in the system with a different name. So we created new user and we created implementation project. System point of view only, that's what we completed. Now we'll use the name called as AT&T. Okay, the telecommunications company. With this name, we'll create the user and we'll create the implementation project. The further setups also will proceed with this company name called as AT&T. We will use this company name for our implementation purpose. Right? Let's create user as AT&T. Just we'll create user and we'll create implementation project. Then we'll create calendar and we'll discuss other setups also. So go to security console. So let's ignore Google, whatever we created in the previous classes. I will create user as AT&T. We'll proceed with the same name for remaining all the setups and for our entire course. Add user account. So AT&T, the and is a special character. Just simply will write the name as ATT. You just consider as AT&T. Assign those two roles, which are basic roles. Those are application implementation consultant. Right, select application implementation consultant. Assign the role to user, and one more role is IT security manager. Assign. Set password. So save and close. Now with this user, you can log into the instance. From this user, we'll create the separate project. The project what we created as a Google implementation project, you can ignore. From now, we'll proceed with the name called as AT&T. Simply, we are writing in the instance as a ATT, nothing but AT and T, AT&T. So correct instance as a AT&T user. Now let's create implementation project as a AT&T. We're writing it as ATT. So let's create implementation project as a ATT implementation project. Say manage implementation projects. Click on create. So you can name it as ATT. Nothing but AT&T. Say save and open project. I'm not adding any offerings and options. First, I want to create implementation project. Once we create empty or blank implementation project, we can add the offerings or offerings and options, how you require. Already we have seen in the previous classes. By following the same process, you can add entire offering or specific options or task list or task you can add as per your requirement. After creating this implementation project, we'll add our financials offering to this implementation project so that system will create the task list for all the finance related applications, whatever we have inside of that financial offering. The same we are calling as options. So ATT implementation project is created. Add financials offering to our project. Search for financials offering. You can select, say apply. Now financials related task list system will create. How to assign this offering or option or task list to team members, how to update the status. Those all points already we discussed. We no need to discuss once again since we are creating the new project, not required. Done. So it will add that financials offering into our project. It will create the task list. That is a known process for us. Now we'll go and create the accounting calendar as a first step. Okay, when you talk about implementation, the sequence of setups is first you can create your implementation user, then you can create implementation project. After these two setups are ready, you can create your accounting calendar. So to create the accounting calendar, we have a task called as manage accounting calendar. In the implementation project, when you do the setups, 99% setups starts with the term called as manage. Manage. Most of the tasks will start with the manage. You'll see that. So financials offering is added. You can click on that. Now to create the accounting calendar, from here you can search for accounting calendar. Say accounting. You don't need to type the full name. Say just I'm typing accounting CAL. So task name is manage accounting calendars. Okay. For 99% of the tasks, the prefix would be manage only. So if you want to follow the navigation, this is the navigation you have to follow. Okay, this is the navigation you have to follow. So not required. You no need to remember also. Just whatever you want, whatever the setup you want to perform, search for the setup in the search field and you can find the relevant task. Click on manage accounting calendars task. And this is the task. And you can click on go to task icon. Just click on go to task icon. It will take us to the page from which page you can create accounting calendars. In this instance, you can see many accounting calendars because this is a practice instance. Okay, this is a practice instance. That is the reason you can see these many accounting calendars. When we are working for a client, you don't see any accounting calendars. This is how you see this page. Okay, this is how you see this page, blank page. Whatever the calendar you create, that would be the first accounting calendar in the instance. So in fresh instance, this is how you can find the blank page and you can create what are the accounting calendar you want to create. Let's see how to create it. To create the accounting calendar, you can click on create icon. Click on create. And here you can give the accounting calendar name. This field allows very limited characters. So you can provide the name as a short name. Say ATT ACC means accounting CAL calendar. It doesn't allow more than those characters. See here, after calendar it is allowing max 4 characters. Later it is not allowing. So that is the reason we are giving the short name. The description you can write the full name. You can notice description field is not mandatory, optional. Okay, there is no star mark. There is no star mark for any field. You don't need to provide the data. Without providing the data in this field, you can save it. But wherever you have a star mark, without providing the data, you cannot save it. So here you can write the description as ATT, or here you can write okay, AT&T accounting calendar for USA. And what is the start date? So when you create the accounting calendar for US, what is the current financial year? 2022, Jan to December. So current financial year start date is Jan 1st, 2022. So here you can select Jan 1st. Okay. So Jan 1st we are selecting. The period frequency. You want to create the periods as monthly or weekly, how you want to create, accordingly you can select. Ideally, we use monthly only. You can accept the period frequency as a monthly. We have other periods also like quarterly, weekly, yearly, monthly, or 4 weeks in a month, or 4, 5. Like so, in a quarter, I mean like 4 weeks, or 4 weeks and 5 weeks in a month. How just that can be represented in the monthly. The weeks, that representation you can give. So ideally, when we create accounting calendar, we use monthly only. You don't need to go with anything else. Monthly, you can just, we are not selecting, system is defaulting, you can accept it. We are giving the name, we are providing description. So for which country you are creating accounting calendar, accordingly you can select the start date. Say for example, you are creating accounting calendar for Indian client. Here you have to create the accounting calendar with 1st April 2020. Okay, so automatically system will create the periods up to next year March. Now if you give start date as a 1st Jan 2022, the periods will be created up to year end. And here you can see the period, first period. This is a period format. Okay, this is how periods will be created. From month, it will take prefix Jan-22. So how it is taking this format? Here is the format selection. By default, the format selection is month in 3 digits, year in 2 digits. Okay, month in 2 digits, year in 2 digits. This month and year need to be separated by hyphen. If you give like slash, accordingly it will create the period. If you don't give anything, say none, it will combine. Okay, it will join this month and year. You can just go with this hyphen. So whatever system is defaulting, you can accept. Those are very basic formats ideally we use for calendar creation. And when you create this accounting calendar, how many additional periods you require? Here you can specify adjusting period frequency, how many you require. So you can choose how you require. Reality, we use only one at the end of the year. If at all they want to use one in the beginning, one in the end of the year, they can use, or else they can proceed with any one of the option. Mostly in the implementations, we recommend to have at least one. Ideally, we create accounting calendar with one adjustment period that we'll select in the end of the year. So here you can see different options. Once at beginning of year, once at end of the year. One is in the beginning, one is in the end. That means 12 periods plus 2 periods, 14 periods. So once mid-year, once at year end. Mid of the year means after 6 months, one adjustment periods. After 12 months, one adjustment period. Or once mid-year, twice at year end. Once at year end, twice at year end. You have none. So none means no adjustment periods. Because some client says we don't need any adjustment periods. So any adjustments we want to do when we are closing the books in the end of the year and the last period only, we record the adjustment entries. In such kind of scenarios, you can select none. If you select none, see what system is saying. It is recommended that you define at least one adjustment period at the end of the year to accommodate potential adjustment entries. Do you want to continue? System also recommending. That's how we recommend to the client to have at least one adjustment period. If client says no, this is system recommendation only, not compulsory. Okay, you can say yes, we don't want to use adjustment period. So system will create the 12 periods. If you select once at year end, okay, after 12 periods, one period it will create as an adjustment period. Total it will become 13 periods. Now, based on these inputs, this is a budget control only. This is when you are dealing with a budget concept, we'll see. Now it is not related to this normal calendar creation. Budget concept only, we can use that. So we will work on the budget concept. There I'll take you through that point. By enabling this, how you can create the calendar for only budget purpose. So after providing these inputs, if you click on next, automatically system will create the periods for 2022. Okay, it will create 12 periods since period frequency is monthly, and we are giving adjustment period frequency as a once at year end. That means one more period as adjustment period. Total 13 periods it will create by following this format, and it will create the period date ranges. Jan 22 when it starts, when it ends. Feb 22 when it starts, when it ends. That's how automatically system creates accounting calendar. Just we have to provide these inputs. Just click on next. It will create accounting calendar with all the periods with the date ranges, including the adjustment period. Our accounting calendar is ready. So here you can see the periods. So Jan, Feb, March, all the periods it created. So 1 to 12 periods, these are actual periods. 13th period is adjustment period. Here you can notice adjusting period checkbox is enabled. Okay, here adjusting period column we have. So these all are not adjustment periods. These all are real periods. The last period, 13th period is adjustment period. Automatically system is enabling adjustment period. So adjustment period is additional period. Automatically system is taking the date range as a 1 day only. 1 day, 31st to 31st. If you want to change, you can change. Adjustment period date range you want to set to 6 or 7 days. Yes, you can update it. So for rest of periods, the exact dates. Okay, 1st December 2022, the year period ends with the 31st December. In the actual periods, you cannot overlap these dates. The date what you are using for one period that you cannot repeat, but only for adjustment periods, any date range you can take into this. You can reuse it. Since adjustment period checkbox is enabled, system will support. If you disable this period, it won't allow. Okay, this is how system is creating the period name, December 22. It is adding 13 as a previous. Period number is 13, it is taking as a quarters. Say, for example, you want to prepare one report for quarter 1. So quarter 1 is selected for these 3 periods. That means if you select quarter 1, system automatically generate the reports from Jan to March. Okay. If you want to select quarter 2, automatically report will be generated from April to June. That's how the grouping is there within the calendar. You don't need to create the quarters separately. So even yes, also it will support. When we deal with the reporting concept, we'll go through those points. For now, how to create the accounting calendar, this is what we have to understand. So now you can click on save. So whenever you want to add periods for next year, you don't need to create the separate calendar. Okay. So for every year, you don't need to create the separate calendar. We create only one accounting calendar for one country. Within the same accounting calendar, you can add the periods for multiple years. Now we have periods for 2022 year, Jan to December. So when we are moving to 2022, 2023, within the same accounting calendar, we can create the periods. Now we have periods for only 2022, Jan 2022, December 2022. Now if you want to add the periods for 23 also, just you can click on add year. Once you create, you have to save it. After saving this accounting calendar, automatically this tab will get enabled. If you click on add year, automatically system will generate the periods for next year. Okay, next year. So for next year, the first period is Jan 23. Means from here 23, it will generate the periods up to December. Okay. Here in the whatever the accounting calendar we create here, first period is Jan only, but already periods are created. The next year, if you are going to create the periods for next year, first period is Jan 23. From here, Jan 23 to December 23, it will create the periods, including one adjustment period. Let's see how it will generate. Just click on add year. Periods are created. You can see Jan 23 to December 23. In the year 23 also an adjustment period is added. And here one point you have to remember, the accounting calendar creation is one-time decision. Once you create accounting calendar, if you want to increase the adjustment periods or if you want to decrease the adjustment periods, if you want to change the period type, these are not at all possible. The company lifetime, they have to use the same accounting calendar if they are going to use the fusion applications for a very long period. So whenever you create accounting calendar, you have to take the decision. Okay. Decision, you need one adjustment period or two adjustment periods. So you need one adjustment period in the first, one adjustment period in the last, or middle one and last one. So how you need adjustment periods, these we have to take the decision only one time at the time of implementation. After implementation is done, you cannot change. You see here, name you can change, description you can change, but start date you cannot change, the period frequency you cannot change, adjustment period frequency also you cannot change. So this is all you cannot change. So that is the reason this is a one-time decision. Okay, this is a one-time decision. So once you create accounting calendar, you have to use the same. Every year you don't need to create the separate accounting calendars. Whatever the accounting calendar we create one time, within the same accounting calendar, you can add the years and or say periods. You can add the periods for other years also, future years. So this is all about accounting calendar creation. Any questions from anyone, please?
Hi,
Hi,
Pramida here.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I wanted to understand, like, if we are implementing for 3 countries, like US, UK, and India, so we need to define the 3 calendars.
Correct. That's all.
Under the same, under the same user, the same task that as you showed.
Not 1 second. It is not under specific user. Okay, with any one user, you can connect to the instance and you can create. Do you see somewhere username in this accounting calendar?
No.
No, that means it is not under specific user. Okay. So who got access to application implementation consultant role, they can have access to FSM. If you have access to FSM, you can create this accounting calendar and you can do many other setups also. That's all.
Okay, so like we are doing the implementation for 3 countries, so 3 calendars, and just like this period start should be the, like for India it will be from like April, for US it will be from Jan, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all. So the start date you have to provide. So since we are creating accounting calendar for US finance year starts with 1st Jan 2020, right? So same video. If you are doing the if you are creating accounting calendar for India, here start date you have to give as 1st April 22, current finance year. That's all for
We don't have responsibilities like we have it in Artwork, right?
We don't have responsibility concept in the fusion. Here, similar to that, we have a roles.
So these roles are different for different countries.
No.
The FSM is the one for all.
No, 1 second. Roles are same. Data is different for different countries.
Lakshman, where do you define the country?
You don't need to create country. Based on the country, you create accounting calendar. Here, you don't need to create any country.
No, but if I create a different calendars, how the calendars will be assigned to different countries?
Different countries,
how we use it.
In multiple calendars, you can give the name as ATT US accounting calendar. If you are creating multiple, this is how you can name it. So that you understand. So for US, when you are going to record the transactions, so whatever you create for US, there you can use this accounting calendar.
So then there will be a separate assignment.
Yeah,
where we assign this calendar to the
primary ledger. Okay, when you create the primary ledger, you understand. For every country, we create the separate primary ledger. When you create the primary ledger for US, so whatever the accounting calendar is created for US, that you have to select. That is, we have to wait for some time to see those setups. Okay.
Another question is that, so if the implementation project is middle of the year, for example, now it is October.
No issues. Even it may be middle of the year, what is the country financed year, that only you have to create. Okay. Where you are,
so the
according
open
to
period
the transactions, but country
open
have to follow.
Right. So the open period will start after the project go live, whichever the period is to open. So we'll open that period after the go live.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. But you can define from
if you start using the system, using the system from October you will record the transactions. You'll open the October period, you'll record.
Okay.
If you are going to start using the Fusion applications from December, you implemented for one of the client, the implementation completed in the November ending. They want to use the system from December. You will open the December period. From December only, you will record the transaction in the system.
Okay.
Yeah. But you have to follow the accounting calendar as per the country. The period range, periods, start period, end periods, that you have to follow as per our country financial year.
So here we only define the month, like calendar. We don't open that period, right?
Not here. We have to wait. After some time, we'll do that. Before we use this calendar to record the transactions, we have to open. Otherwise, you cannot enter any transaction in any period.
Okay.
Hi, Lakshman sir.
After completing this, we will understand that how to open and all. As of now, we are trying to understand how to create.
Yeah. Hi, Lakshman sir.
Please.
This accounting year match with today's date.
Yes. So periods you have from Jan to December, right?
But you take the year 23. But
1 second. Here I added one more year, right?
Okay.
Here 22 is there, right?
Yeah.
I just shown like how to add the years.
Okay.
22 only. Once you click on add year, it added 23.
that some company's financial period, I work for US based company, they followed September and August. They start with September. I mean, presently I'm working for some US based company. The financial year start with September, ending with August.
That is internal, some other internal reporting purpose they might be using, but in US it doesn't work in that way. Okay, that may be some internal report, other purposes they might have created. You know, like what is the financial year in US?
January to December.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. Somebody is using some different things that their internal purpose only. They cannot report to the government as per the period range, right?
If client is asking,
government accepts is Jan to December.
Okay.
That's all. Any other questions?
Yes. Hi.
Yeah, please.
When financial calendar is going to be the same, like Jan to December, in such a case, the same calendar can be used for multiple countries, right?
Yes, you can use it.
So in that case, there is no need to create country-wise calendar, right?
If similar, you don't need to create.
Yes. Okay.
Correct. Say 10 countries you are doing implementation.
Yes.
For 10 countries, 4 countries financial years are same. Create one, use for 4. Rest of 6 you create separate.
Correct. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. But this is how you have to create the accounting calendar. Say, for example, I'm just going to say one close. Let's create one more accounting calendar for India, just for our understanding purpose. I'll give the name as XYZ ACC IN. If you are going to create the accounting calendar for India, so India financial year starts with April 1st. April 22 first, current financial year. It's monthly. This is how it will create the periods. Now, one set year and I am giving, then click on next. So what system is doing? It is taking the reporting year. Okay, here it is taking 23, but you can see the periods are correct. April 22. We are in the current financial year. April 22 to this current financial year ends in the March 23. That's how it is creating the periods. Okay, April 22 to the financial year starts in the April 22 and ends in the March 23. So this is how you can create the accounting calendar for India.
Lakshman sir, can you just, like, I think I missed something, like why it is 2023?
Reporting year, when that financial year is going to end.
Okay. Okay.
Financial year is going to end 2023 only, right? 2023 March. That is reason the reporting year only system will take here. We are going to report from April to March, in which year? 23 only. The reporting year it takes. But periods it is taking, see how it is reality, it is taking about April to December 22 only taking. From Jan to March it is taking 23. Adjustment period, last period also is taking as. Yeah, this is how you can create in case of India. Here also you can add the periods if you want to add. Click on add years. It will add the periods for next year. Add it.
Lakshman, just a quick question.
Yeah.
The adjustment year dates can be changed every year, right?
Yeah, you can change. You can change. Since it's an
every year
adjustment, you can change to any range.
That is, in every year we can change it.
Every year you can change. Yes, every by default it takes only one date, 31st. Yeah. Every year, how you need accordingly you can change. It's not mandatory. Every year the adjustment period range, date range should be same. You can just select how you need.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
So this is all about accounting calendar.
And one last question.
Yeah.
So you said like a 445 calendar, 544 calendar, right? So, what is the scenario like when the customer go for that type of calendars?
So, see, ideally that is not required. Just they given multiple options. They given multiple options available, but generally like daily, weekly, and all we never create. They give an option if any client as per that country, the localized requirements, if anybody wants to use, they can choose options. Ideally, we use monthly only. You take any country, we go with the monthly.
Okay.
So the options they given because they are giving this solution as per to support the global requirements. Okay. So for any country, any business scenarios or any country, some localized government policies or etc. to support all the business scenarios across the globe. So they are giving this solution. That is the reason they are just going, they are considering each and every scenario and they are giving that flexibility. If somebody need, they'll use it. It is not a very generic case where we use that. We use monthly, that's all. Fine. Now, whatever the accounting calendar we created, if you want to find here, you can search from here only. These are the search fields. Sometimes these search fields may be hidden. Here you have a filter icon. Okay. So this is how you may see this page, the fresh instance. If you want to enable the filter for search, click on this filter and you can search for your accounting calendar. Say ATT, just enter from the keyboard. Just here they are not giving any tab to click on, find and all. So from the keyboard you can use enter key. It will fetch the accounting calendar. If you want to see all the accounting calendar, you can go to say manage accounting calendars. You can see all the accounting calendars. If you want to filter your accounting calendar, ATT, enter. And you can open this accounting calendar if you want to add the years in future. Say just client is started using this instance and they have started entering the transactions. They are in 2023. Now they are moving to 2024. Anytime you can come to this accounting calendar, you can click on add year. Generally, when you create implementation project, when you are doing the implementation, when you create accounting calendar, we just create the periods for 2 to 3 years. That's all. Okay, 2 to 3 years, we create the periods. In future, whenever we require, simply you can come to the same accounting calendar and we can add the years. When you click on add year, it will add the year. Within that year, what are the periods we have, all the periods also it will add. This is how we create accounting calendar. At the time of implementation, 2 to 3 years periods we add at a time. Later we can add whenever required. So that's all about accounting calendar. We'll talk about description later. Now we'll talk about amount related component. So when you create any transaction, you have to enter the amounts. Say, for example, you are entering amount like 10,000 and 20,000. Now, what is this 10,000 amount? What is this 20,000 amount? Rupees or dollars? So that amounts you have to represent with the currency. Say 10,000 INR, Indian rupee, 20,000 USD, US dollar. So the amounts what we are entering in every transaction that we have to represent with the currency. The amount belongs to which currency. So when you talk about currencies, say for example, client is doing the business in US. They are doing the business. They are recording the transactions in in a local currency. So if client is doing the business in USA, the USA local currency is USD. USA local currency is USD. So this is local currency. Country local currency. The country local currency we call as functional currency. Okay. The country local currency. Wherever you are doing the business or your client is doing the business. So if you are doing the business in USA the local currency is USD. That currency we call as functional currency. Your client is doing the business in USA, USD you are calling as functional currency. Functional currency, USD, all all other currencies we call as foreign currencies. Okay, please go on mute. But I unmuted, some noise is coming. Okay, so client is doing the business in USA. The USA local currency is USD. That local currency we call as functional currency. Other than functional currency, all currencies we call as foreign currencies. Take INR or GBP or AED or SGD. Take any other country currencies, all we call as foreign currencies. If client is doing the business in USA, USD is the functional currency. So INR and SGD, Singapore dollar, and AED, Arab Emirates dinar. These all like, what are the other currencies we have? These all are other country currencies. These all we call as foreign currencies. Okay, these all we call as foreign currencies. Say client is doing the business in India, then INR will become functional, all other currencies will become foreign currencies. So this is the point you have to understand. The country local currency we call as functional currency. Other than that, all currencies we call as foreign currencies. Say your client is doing the business in these 4 countries. Okay, USA, India, Singapore, and UAE. So in these 4 countries, client is doing the business. Then if your client is doing the business in 4 countries, for USA, USD is the functional. For India, INR is the functional. For Singapore, SGD is the functional. And UAE, AED is the functional. For USA, these 3 currencies are foreign. For India, these 2 and this one is foreign. For Singapore, this 2 and this currency is foreign. For UAE, these 3 are foreign. That means where you are operating the business, based on that you can say which is your functional currency, which is a foreign currency. Okay, which is a functional currency and which is foreign currency. If I enter some values here, like 100, and 10, 500, 10,000. So what these values are talking about? Are they talking about any INR USD? No, nothing. So you cannot figure it out what exactly the values are belongs to. So if these are belongs to some currencies, okay. If these are not belongs to currencies, those could be some other measurements. These all are money related measurements. Okay, dollars, rupees, okay, dollars, dinars. So these all are money related measurements. Say for example, here I am giving 100 as a marks. This I am giving as kilograms. This I am saying INR. This I am taking as a USD. Now these all are measurements. These all are measurements. But which are money related measurements? Here rupees and dollars only. These 2 are money related measurements. These also measurements only, but not money related measurements. So these kind of measurements, the measurements which are not related to money, those we call as non-monetary measurements. Okay, non-monetary. Monetary means money. Non-monetary measurements, not related to money. This USD, INR, SGD, AED, these all we call as monetary measurements, money related measurements. Means we have monetary measurements and non-monetary measurements. Monetary measurements we call as the currency, actual currency. Non-monetary measurements, all non-monetary measurement comes under statistical information. Here I took an example as a marks, kilograms, you can take square feet or meters, centimeters, score, you take any other measurements. All this comes under statistical information. All the statistical information related, if you are going to enter any statistical information in the system, that we call as stat currency. From the statistical, they are taking first 4 letters and that we call as stat currency. These are real currencies. This is not at all currency. But if you are going to enter information like kilograms, marks, or square feet, meters, such kind of information, if you are going to enter in the system, that you have to represent with a currency called as stat. Reality is not currency, but we call it as a currency. So here we have to understand one simple point. Type of currencies.
Foreign currency, do you refer as a transactional currency?
No.
So we don't have transactional currency in future. That term itself.
Based when we are recording the transactions, you are recording in which currency, that we call as transaction currency. Okay. Foreign currency and stat currency.
When we define this functional currency during the setup, do we define that the conversion rate?
No, if required, when we are recording the transactions in other currency, we define. When you create functional currency, we don't define. Say your client is doing the business in USA, but client has suppliers in India. Okay, or customers in India. When your client is going to do the business transactions with the India customers and suppliers, if your client needs to record the transactions in INR in their books, then between USD and INR, you have to create the exchange rates. We'll cover all those in our classes. We'll come across all those. Okay. So we should not dump the complete information in the initial sessions. That is the reason I'm not touching those. Whenever we perform the relevant transactions, I'll cover all those points. Again, there are exchange rates, type, daily rate, spot rate, corporate rate, user defined. There are many things what we have to understand. So I'll cover. We have everything I listed out in the course curriculum as a separate concepts to discuss and understand. Okay? Our target is understanding just these three components. Okay, when we talk about type of currencies, these we have to remember. Okay, functional currency, foreign currency, stat currency. Functional currency means country, local currency where you are doing the business. Other than functional currency, all currencies we call as foreign currencies. If client is doing the business in India and US, for India, INR is the functional. For US, US is the functional. For India, US is the foreign. For US, INR is the foreign. This is what we have to understand. Stat currency, the reality, it is not a currency. As per our system, we call it as currency. So other than money related measurements, any measurements you take, that you treat as a stat currency. So
is a transaction currency and functional currency both are same?
That depends. When you are recording the transaction, you may record your transaction in your functional currency only, or else you may record the transaction maybe in the foreign currency. There are different scenarios. When you are recording the transaction completely, you may record the transactions by ignoring your functional currency. Depending on the scenario, you call it as in which currency you are recording the transaction. That currency you call as transaction currency.
Okay. And doesn't
all those scenarios?
I don't have an Oracle background. I'm from SAP. Okay. So doesn't it have any kind of like reporting currency? So in the case,
yes. That is one of the concepts. Say for example, you are doing the business in US. You have to record the transaction in your functional currency. And whatever the transaction you are recording in US, that you have to report to India. Then INR will become your reporting currency.
Correct.
Yeah. That is one of the concepts which we are going to cover in our classes. Reporting currency means reporting ledger we create for that. So accounting calendar we have to create. Okay, Oracle is not providing any accounting calendars. Oracle is not providing seeded accounting calendars. So in every implementation, how many accounting calendars we require, we have to create. But when you talk about currencies, whenever you record the transaction, we have to enter the amount. The amount need to be represented with the currency. So the currency information you don't need to create in the instance. All the currencies information Oracle is providing. That means the currencies information you get as a seeded data. Okay, seeded data. Seeded data means the data which Oracle is providing. Already discussed, The application implementation consultant, IT security manager roles Oracle only providing that comes under seeded data, or simply you can say seeded roles. Now this currencies information also comes under seeded data. Oracle is providing this currency information in every instance. You no need to create any currency. By mistake in any instance, any currency is missing, you have to create. Ideally, you don't find some currencies missing. All currencies information Oracle is providing. Whatever the currencies you require as a functional foreign, etc., you can just use as per your business process. Simply what you have to do is, which currencies you require, you have to enable those currencies. All the currencies Oracle is providing, whatever the currencies you require to record the transactions, those you have to enable in the system. How to enable, we'll see. So currencies information is serial data. You no need to create any currencies. All the currencies Oracle is providing, you can use whatever you require. So this is what we have to understand about currencies. We'll go and see where you can find all the Oracle provided currencies and how to enable, disable. If you enable, that would be available to record the transaction. If you disable, it won't be available. Okay. So we'll go through that currency related page from where we can find all the currencies. Go to our implementation project. Here search for currencies. Search with the term called as currencies. Here we can see one task called as manage currencies. Okay, manage currencies. Click on this task. Manage currencies is the task name. Click on go to task icon.
There was 2 manage currency tasks.
Yeah.
So you have selected under that ISO.
No. 2 tasks will take us to same page. Anyone you can choose. Under different paths, the task name is available. You can click on this also. It will take us to same page.
Okay.
Define currencies. Under different paths, those tasks are available. That's all. Okay, if you find task name is same, that means both are same. That's what you have to understand. See, paths are different. Under this path, this task is available. Under this path, this task is available. Ultimately, these 2 tasks are connected to same page. Anyone you can use. Okay. So here we have a define currencies. Again, if you click on define currencies, under define currencies, you will have a manage currencies. Instead of clicking on define currencies, finding manage currencies, directly you can go to manage currencies. If you find any task as a multiple records, anyone you can use. So manage currencies is the task name. Click on go to task icon. You want to find out currency called as USD. USD. Search. So currency code is USD. Currency name is US dollar. Description also US dollar. So this currency is enabled. If it is enabled, this currency we can use. If it is disabled, this won't be available to use. Okay. You don't need to give any start date and end date. If you give start date and end date, within that time frame only that currency would be available. Because this is enabled. I will give the date as from today to this month end. Only for this date range only, this currency would be available to record the transactions. After that, it won't be displayed for users to record the transactions. We never give any start date and end date for any currency. Say you are doing the business in US and you are dealing with the different countries, suppliers and customers. Now you have to record the transactions in the different country currencies also. So in such kind of scenarios, you have to make sure that all the country currencies are enabled and you are recorded. And you stop dealing with the India suppliers and customers. You are not doing any transactions with India customers and suppliers. Now you don't need any INR currency. Then you can disable INR currency so that It won't be available when you are creating currency transactions. Anyway, you don't need INR currency because you are not dealing with the Indian customers and suppliers. That's all. This is how you can enable or disable. Okay, if you want to use this currency, make sure that it is enabled. If you see like this, by it's as a disabled, you should enable it so that this would be available. Same way, and one more point. Here you can expand it. If you want to see the detailed information, you can expand. Here you can see the issuing territory. This currency belongs to which country? Okay, and what is the symbol? What is the precision? So this is all like a predefined information. You don't need to set all the currencies Oracle is providing. So as these you can access it. Search for INR, Indian rupee. Okay, description also Indian rupee. Currency is enabled. Somebody set some date, not required. Remove that. If you want to find all the currencies, don't provide anything in the search criteria. Click on search. So these are the all currencies which are available in this environment. They all are provided by Oracle. We can create also. Say some currency is missing, you can create. Nothing wrong. Okay.
Is by default all currencies are enabled?
By default, all currencies are enabled. The Fusion, Oracle is providing all the currencies by enabling. So you are going to for your client.
Is there any harm like keeping it that way, like keep enabling all the currencies?
Yeah, I'm coming to that point. If you are doing the if your client is going to use total 5 currencies, for example, client is doing the business in US, functional currency is 1. They are dealing with 4 other countries. Those 4 currencies, foreign currency plus 1 currency, local currency. Total 5 currencies only required. By default, in the every instance, Oracle is providing all the currencies by enabling. Okay, they are enabling and they are providing all the currencies. So what generally we have to do is, what are the currencies client doesn't require, those all we have to disable one time. Okay, there will be 200 plus currencies. All disable except what currencies client requires. Say client required only 5 currencies. Except those 5, remaining all you can disable. In future, if they need any additional currency, you can enable it. If you don't disable, there won't be an issue. But if you are going to create the transactions, say you are doing the business in US, USD is your functional currency, then automatically system will take the USD currency. When you are recording the transactions in US, so automatically system will select USD. But if you want to record the transaction in INR currency, you have to select INR currency from the total list of 200 currencies. That is a big task for us. Anyway, you are not going to record the transactions in the many different currencies. You are going to record the transactions max with the 5 currencies, except those 5 remaining all you can disable. Whenever you are going to create the transaction in the foreign currency, in the specific field, if you check the currencies, only 5 would be available. It would be easy for you to select required currency from the list of 5 currencies. Otherwise, from 200 currencies, we have to search and select what are the currency required. That is unnecessary task and time-taking process. So for that reason, you can disable all the currencies, whatever your client doesn't require. So this is the point you have to.
Is it possible to do that a mass action, like instead of going and unclicking each and every currency?
No. Manually, you have to do it. It's a matter of 5 minutes.
But it's like a 202 or 300 currencies, right? So
yeah, 5 minutes.
It will
less than 5 minutes. Disable. Maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes. One time only.
Okay.
At the time of implementation, only one time activity. You just disable and save it. So that's how those will be available in the system instance as in the disabled status. So some currency value is missing in this instance. You can create. How to create? Don't create for your practice purpose, just for your information purpose. I'm just taking you through the process. You don't create currencies with your name, USD or so and so. We never do that. Okay, whatever Oracle is providing, those only we use. In no implementation, you have to create the currencies. If currency specific code is missing, we have to create. Just click on add. Add it here. So once you click on add, this is how field will be open. I think cursor is pointed here, that is it's opening. So currency name is this. Currency name description. This is how you can provide. And you can expand it. This currency belongs to which country. You can select country, and you can provide symbol, etc. And you can save it.
What does that ISO currency checkbox means?
Sorry?
ISO currency checkbox in that this one, ISO.
So by default, like every currency falls under ISO, like that's how they are giving the code.
Okay.
Standard value. Okay, the standard naming convention, standard code for that currency.
Do we define any relation between this currency and the calendar? Like if it is we defined a USD calendar. So that currency and calendar
We have separate setups. Going forward, we'll create relation. Okay,
okay.
here.
We do.
Okay, by using this calendar, by using this currency, by using some other setups, we create something. There we create the relation. Here, these are independent. So that's all about currency part. Okay, we discussed about calendar and we discussed about currency related information. Now it's 9:50. So in tomorrow's session, we'll talk about description. It takes some time. Okay, we have to discuss very detailed level. It's a very, very important concept when we talk about transactions. In tomorrow's session, we'll talk about. So if you want to capture the description for any transaction, what we have to prepare in the system, how to prepare, what we call, what are the steps are involved, everything we'll discuss and we will do in the system also. Okay. So description part we'll discuss in the tomorrow session. When you create the transaction, very primarily you have to capture the date, description and amount. The date you can capture if you are ready with accounting calendar. Amount when you enter, you have to address that amount with a specific currency. For that, Oracle is providing all the currencies. What are the currencies you require? Just make sure that those are enabled so that when you create the transaction, you can enter the amounts and you can specify the amount is belongs to which currency. And description part, how that can be managed in instance, we will discuss very detailed level and we'll see the system tomorrow session itself. Okay. So we're done for today. If you have any questions, you can stay back. We will discuss. If no questions, we'll connect tomorrow same time.